Matumeza mtoto wangu.
Wewe nenda. Toka nje.
Siwezi ondoka.
Alafu sasa sikiza nikwambie. Wewe ni clients kama clients wengine, umenisikia?
Wasemaje?
Maini.
Wasemaje?
Maini. Jaribu kunigusa uone.
Sikiza Jamal. Shamsa is my wife. Achana naye. Sawa. Achana na Shamsa.
The unparalleled beauty of Lake Victoria in Homa Bay County.
Homa Bay County tuna urembo mwingi, kuna ziwa, kuna milima, tuko na viwanja, tuko na mbuga za wanyama.
This September, Magical Scenes brings you Homa Bay and her beauty. Magical Scenes, only on KBC Channel 1.
The 9th World Cooperation Industries Expo will be held in Istanbul, Turkey from the 17th to the 21st of September 2023. Join this exciting exhibition to grow your business, trade and network with various businesses all over the world. To register, call or WhatsApp this number.
Kenya and Africa suffer the brunt of climate change due to the recurrent droughts that destroy our wildlife, thus killing our golden goose that brings about economic growth. The irony is that we suffer a lot despite the fact that we contribute little to the global emissions that bring about climate change. Kenya is known as a global powerhouse in conservation of flora and fauna, as well as in the use of the renewable energy such as solar, geothermal, wind and hydropower. Climate and tourism intertwine. Our conservation commitment ensures an enduring tourism legacy, elevating natural treasures and future traveler experiences. Let us unite for sustainable tourism aligned with climate action, scripting a legacy of shared responsibility and vibrant coexistence.
And a very good evening to you. Welcome to Prime Edition. My name is Shiksha Arora. Of course, as we take you through the top stories tonight, my sign language interpreter is Brian Muraro. And of course, yesterday we started a very special edition. And in this edition, we're going to be talking about the government's scorecard a year on. Now remember, we'll be speaking to cabinet secretaries, that is through and through from today. We started yesterday, today, all the way until next week. And of course, we'll be having a conversation with them regarding what exactly has been going on in this past year in their respective dockets. Yesterday, we had ICT Cabinet Secretary, that is Mr. Eliud Ewalo, and today we have Mr. Simon Chelugui, as he tells us what's been happening in his docket, that is the cooperatives and MSMEs, and he's going to be giving us the latest with regards to the Hustler Fund, which is a very popular question that most Kenyans have. How exactly has it been going on 1 year on? What are some of the drawbacks? What are some of the things that we've seen that have been challenging? And of course, what are some of the things that Kenyans have been enjoying a year on? So all that and much more. That conversation will be coming up later on in studio. We'll be having CS, of course, Mr. Simon Chelugui, as he gives us the latest with his docket. But remember, for now, you can get in touch with us on social media at KBC Channel 1 at Shiksha Arora, and let us know what questions you have for him, as we'll be asking him those questions later on. Let's get right into the highlights.
Wanachama ambao wanaelewa sheria na vilevile mwongozo ya chama na wanafuata hiyo mwongozo ya chama.
Shape up or ship out. Raila Odinga warns against rebellion within the Orange Democratic Movement. Saving the next generation. Pastor Dorcas Rigathi makes a rallying call against the stubborn drug malady. And the Supreme Judgment. The Apex Court gives the newly amended Finance Act a clean bill of health. Welcome to this edition of Prime Edition. Of course, let's get right into the top stories, and our first story tonight, where Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has told leaders elected on the party ticket to either toe the line or resign and seek re-election. The opposition leader, who toured Migori County Friday, said the party will not tolerate what he termed as bad manners exhibited by a section of members.
Raila Odinga says he will not relent in cracking the whip on errant ODM party members.
Wewe kama umelichaguliwa na chama cha ODM, wewe umefunga ndoa na ODM kwa miaka 5. Kama ulichaguliwa kama mwana Jubilee, wewe ni Jubilee. Kama ulichaguliwa kama UDA, wewe ni UDA. Umefunga ndoa kwa miaka 5. Mpaka fuate mwongozo na sheria ya hiyo chama.
Speaking in Migori town, Raila said the political field is a competitive one and that there is no way one can claim to seek development favors from another party simply because it is government.
Umeenda pale kinyume ya vile wale watu wako ambao walikuchagua. Ati mimi natafuta barabara, ati mimi natafuta hiyo hospitali, mimi natafuta nini? Hakuna barabara na kwenda kupata kwenye ikulu. Wewe sasa umewacha msimamo ya chama chako, umeenda kwa upande kingine. Wewe mpaka uchukuliwe hatua ya kinidhamu. Wanasema ati maneno itaenda mahakama, tutazunguka miaka 5, mimi nitamaliza tu katika bunge. Hata hiyo mahakama tunakuja kufuata wewe.
ODM ikiwa strong, Azimio itakuwa strong. Wiper ikiwa strong, Azimio itakuwa strong. DAPK ikiwa strong, Azimio itakuwa strong. Chama cha usawa kwa wote kikiwa strong, Azimio iko strong. Sasa warudi kwa mwenye inji, tupige kura, tujue nani ni nani. Hawa mnasema nini?
Na sisi tunataka vile wanasema ukarimu uanzia wapi? Ukarimu uanzia nyumbani. Sawa sawa? Vile nidhamu inaanzia wapi?
He says political parties can only grow in Kenya if those in power respected the ideologies, constitutions and rules of other parties. Raila has maintained that the rebellious members of the party will be dealt with in accordance with the rules and constitution of the party.
Wale ambao sisi tumewaweka kando, tumwambia wewe umefanya makosa, lakini sababu umekubali makosa yako, sisi tutapiga wewe faini shilingi milioni 1. Lipa ndani ya siku 60, alafu baadaye utakaa kando mpaka baada ya mwaka mmoja.
Because democracy cannot function without strong political parties. And those people, elected or unelected, who are trying to destroy political parties are enemies of Kenya.
Kanchimenza for Easy Friday.
Now, in other news, the Supreme Court has dismissed Busia Senator Okia Omtata's appeal against the Court of Appeal's decision to lift the suspension on the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. Now, the Apex Court ruled that the petition did not fall under its jurisdiction and that the appellate court's ruling had not resulted in grave injustices. Take a look.
Busia Senator Omtata and 3 other petitioners, Elud Matindi, Benson Otieno and Blair Oigoro, had gone to the Supreme Court to challenge the appellate court's lifting of a High Court order that had suspended the implementation of the Finance Act 2023. Appellate Court's Justices Mohamed Warsame, Kadhurima Minoti and Helen Omondi had on 28th July 2023 lifted High Court Judge Mugure Thande's ruling that had shelved its implementation, saying they had been persuaded by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndungu's appeal to set aside the conservatory orders, citing heavy losses by the government due to the suspension. Omtata, however, argued that the Appellate Court's ruling not only validated but allowed the act to take effect immediately. He further said the court had unjustly predetermined the substance of the amended petition pending before the High Court and appeals which were at the time yet to be filed before it. In its dismissal of the petition, the 7-judge bench of Chief Justice Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, and Justices Mokin Wanjala, Mohamed Ibrahim, Njoki Ndungu, Isaac Lenaola, and William Ouko stated that Omtata's petition did not fall within its appellate jurisdiction. The Apex Court further stated that it wasn't convinced that the Court of Appeal's ruling had occasioned grave injustices to warrant its invocation of its inherent jurisdiction. They also said that the intended appeals before the Court of Appeal has since been filed and are to be disposed within 60 days of the impunged ruling. The Finance Act had introduced several taxation measures that the Treasury had factored in revenue generation for the current budget. Michael Mondiga for Easy Friday.
Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki this morning visited the Director of Criminal Investigations DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road to assess the process and system limitations that have caused the production of police clearance documents, commonly known as Certificate of Good Conduct, to stall for the past few months. Now, though the system's malfunction has been fixed, the CS and DCI team came to an agreement on a recovery strategy to restore normalcy in the delivery of this vital service to the general public. Kindiki asked the DCI team to clear the backlog and upgrade the system from the current one to a more efficient one.
Based on the report I got from the DCI admin, that at least now the process is back on track. However, based on the report, it appears that even when we are back on track, we may need to do a few other things to be able to catch up with the demand and bring things to normal. Because even as we try to clear the backlog, new applicants are on the queue. And I thought before I go for that appointment, it's good I have an understanding of what the issues are. And then, of course, we'll plan a more elaborate visit so that we understand the departments and the directorate more fully and what kind of support or facilitation you may require from our office at policy level. Other things that perhaps require a bit of push, maybe budget issues and other things, just to make sure that you continue delivering the services that you're delivering to the people of Kenya.
Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has faulted opposition leader Raila Odinga for expelling 5 members of parliament from the Orange Democratic Movement Party over their association with the ruling party side. Speaking in Kericho County during a funeral service, the Deputy President said Odinga's move shows he was also not genuine with the agenda of the National Dialogue Committee. The DP defended the expelled lawmakers, saying they met the president to deliberate on economic development agenda in their areas of jurisdiction. Rigathi questioned why Odinga did not take issue with the decision of Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to attend a meeting at State House, Nairobi recently.
Sasa mimi nauliza, yeye anasema nataka kuketi na rais. Ni sawa. Rais akiketi na wajumbe ya ODM anafukuza hawa. Is he genuine? Is he genuine? This will not waste time. Huyu mtu, he is not genuine about any dialogue, any discussion. Because if he was genuine, why is he punishing members of parliament who has come to sit with William Ruto? Na hao wamekuja kutafuta maendeleo. Yeye akija hakuna makosa. Hata juzi tumekuwa kwa ikulu usiku, Kalonzo amefika. Mbona hawajafukuza Kalonzo kwa Azimio? Kama our MPs waliketi na rais wako na makosa.
Now, First Lady Rachel Ruto has rallied other First Ladies in Africa to champion the war on climate change in their respective countries. Speaking at State House, Nairobi during a tree planting ceremony, the First Lady said she will partner with schools and help mold the young generation into global champions in matters of climate change.
On 1st September 2023, the Climate Change Amendment Bill 2023 was enacted into law by the President, paving the way for the regulation of carbon markets. The declaration further noted that 600 million people in Africa lack access to electricity, while 970 million lack access to clean cooking. Through our flood, I will request all African First Ladies to consider championing energy transition and the uptake of clean cooking technologies in their respective countries. As a continent, we are now ready for COP28, and we will go with one voice as Africa.
Now, the spouse of Deputy President Pastor Dorcas Rigathi says the fight against drug and substance abuse can only be won if all Kenyans unite to tackle to root causes. Speaking during the graduation ceremony of 84 former addicts in Karen, Nairobi, Pastor Dorcas commended the work of all religious and non-religious organizations that are bolstering the war on substance abuse. She said that it would take an entire nation to save the boy child from addiction and secure Kenya's future generation.
Many have expressed a strong desire to be free from shackles of addiction. My office has a record of more than 2,000 individuals who wish to undergo rehabilitation. Our approach to rehabilitation takes various forms, encompassing the ongoing inpatient rehabilitation at Remuru, the wellness camp at the ASK showground, where we have 85 who are already going through that, and other rehabilitation centers. There is also the ongoing outpatient and community-based rehabilitation programs in Kiambu, in Bomet, and Mombasa counties.
Now, the Ministry of Education has refuted claims that several first-year students who had reported to public universities across the country had been turned away due to non-payment of tuition fee. Principal Secretary of Higher Learning and Research Beatrice Inyangala instead termed the claims as malicious, adding that the government will ensure immediate disbursement of funds after the completion of the selection and categorization process. The Public University Vice-Chancellor's Committee has also stated that no student is expected to pay tuition fees before the categorization process is finalized.
So I want to confirm here unreservedly that no university has sent students away because they or asked them to pay tuition fees. That is not true.
The new first-year students that are currently being admitted into public universities are not required to pay any tuition fees under the new funding model until Higher Education Fund, comprising Universities Fund and Help, finalize the categorization of the student. For avoidance of doubt, no public university has demanded for the payment of tuition fees. Accordingly, no student has been turned away for non-payment of tuition fees in any of the public universities.
And with that, let's take our first commercial break. But remember, right after this break, we will be speaking to CS of MSMEs and Cooperatives, Simon Cheligui, as of course he gives us, his insight of the past 1 year. He's already in studio, so we'll be catching up with him on the other side of the studio in just a moment. But for now, let's take that short commercial break.
The 9th World Cooperation Industries Expo will be held in Istanbul, Turkey from the 17th to the 21st of September 2023. Join this exciting exhibition to grow your business, trade and network with various businesses all over the world. To register, call or WhatsApp this number.
Na Ndudhi officially Ndudhi iko ndani ya one of the boxes ya Lucky Game. Cheza Lucky Game, kumbuka ni *570#. Chagua Lucky Game, kisha chagua one of the boxes kati ya hizo 7. Weka stakes zako isiwe chini ya 20 shillings na isizidi 2000 Kenyan shillings. Zawadi ziko kem. Kiwapo pia Ndudhi tumeingiza mahali pale Vurumisha na *570#.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia upanzi wa mbegu safi shambani.
Wakulima wetu sana hawapangi sana, lakini sasa tunajaribu kuwa educate important ya kupanga. Kuna zile tumejua miche ile watu wanachukua mara mingi, kwa hivyo hizo tuko nazo kila wakati. Tuseme kama spinach, kales, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower na nyanya zingine zile tunajua watu wanachukua sana.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1. Owondo coming.
1 year in office, 23 ministries. Time to review the journey in implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. What is your assessment of the government's performance? Will they ace the performance test? Tune in to KBC News at 9 p.m. for the government scorecard.
Kwani nini mnaulizana na dada? Si unataka kuolewa very soon? Utajijulia mwenyewe.
Wisdom inaongezekaga vile umri yako nao inasonga.
Si kila mtu anaweza angalia kwa hiyo perspective wewe unaangalia.
Trust me, I can't poison you.
Bwana yako yuko, niko na vita sana na yeye.
Ala?
If you don't like me, then be rest assured the feeling is mutual.
I must be in the wrong house.
What?
Hata mimi nitauliza what?
I'll be outside.
Utaongelesha watu vibaya tu kwa sababu umekosana na dada. Nimesema ni stage huyo mwanaume.
There is no going back.
You're so naive.
Will he reciprocate your love to such lengths?
Unfortunately, baby, I keep falling in love with you every minute around my clock.
Mambo itaharibika ukirudi kwako.
Tina, Christine.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. And of course, as promised you earlier on, I will be speaking to CS Simon Chelugui as he takes us through how, the year has been with regards to cooperatives and MSMEs. The main question that is the Hustler Fund, and of course, the challenges and some of the things that he has learned in this 1 year with regards to the Hustler Fund. And of course, the 3 categories, especially, will be giving you all the insights on that. But for now, let's just take a look at what exactly the Hustler Fund is and how exactly, this particular digital financial institution, that is, it is an initiative designed to improve credit access. The Hustler Fund mainly targets Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, the pillars of this particular Hustler Fund, remember, they are affordable credit, competitive savings and pensions products, comprehensive insurance solutions, access to affordable housing, market linkages, and financial literacy. And lastly, remember, it is suitable for Kenyans who are formally recognized as groups, that is chamas. Now, this is something that we will be giving you an insight on. And remember, the question today is, we are creating a paradigm shift for the bottom-up economic pyramid. And what exactly is this? A year on, is this something that, has been working out? Is it something that has been having a lot of drawbacks, challenges? So some of these details will be given to us by the CS himself, who is already in studio on the other side. So all we need to do is now we're going to be crossing over to the other side and we're going to be starting off this conversation right away. Remember, you can get in touch with us. The hashtag is Prime Edition. Find us on social media at Shiksha Arora and at KBC Channel 1. Tweet us. Tell us if you have some questions regarding the Hustler Fund. If there's something that you want to understand better regarding borrowing, do talk to us and we'll be passing on those questions to Bwana CS as well. So remember, once again, if you still want to understand the Hustler Fund better, we'll be taking you, that is the digital financial inclusion initiative designed to improve credit access. And the Hustler Fund mainly targets Kenyans who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, we'll be starting off this interview immediately with the first question. And I'll be asking Bwana CS to take us through the mandate of the actualization of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Welcome to the show, Bwana CS. We hope you've had a great Friday, and we'd like to learn more about, the actualization of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda that has been very talked about this last year. Okay. So, how are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Sorry, it took me a while to settle down. So, this particular question is something that a lot of Kenyans have been wanting to know, right? The bottom-up economic transformation was quite a priority when we were talking about this last year at the same time during the elections. It's something that, was discussed through and through. And now, a year on, of course, this has been quite a journey for you. So maybe you can take us through the mandate of the actualization, and maybe you can give us an insight on the same.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to this studio for giving me an opportunity to really articulate the journey we've traveled as the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, a ministry that is anchoring the main agenda of this administration. Last year, during the campaigns, as you've rightly said, this issue of empowering Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid was canvassed and discussed widely.
Right.
Kenyans were given choices, and for sure, you remember for last for 2 years, I served as Minister for Labor and Social Protection. And the numbers that I carry are the real numbers. We have over 18 million Kenyans who are employed, and 15 million of those are informally employed. Actually, they are called hustlers, in other words. These are people who do not have a pay slip, they don't have social protection, social security, they are under. And as such, these people face a number of challenges. Two key challenges are access to affordable credit and aggregation of their business and markets. So government looked at the situation, and for sure we have a lot of money in the market. Banks have money, donors, financial institutions have been able to push money in this country.
Right.
However, accessing that fund, accessing those monies, have always been characterized by requirements for security, collaterals, and even chattels, which is really very high for common hustlers. So government came up with an initiative, an intervention. And this intervention is not to take away private sector players. The intervention is meant to provide an alternative and possibly encourage the private sector to participate and also move towards the low cost. We started the Hustler Fund on 30th of November last year. It was launched through a big fanfare ceremony at Kenya Railways by His Excellency the President. To date, I'm happy to report we have launched 2 products. The first product, which is personal loan product, has done extremely well. As we speak today, the personal loan product has disbursed 36 billion 309 million 356,481 as at midday today. We have also received over 25 billion 613 918,861, which is approximately 72%. That is the repayment rate of the Hustler Fund. So the other funds, we have about 21,162,000 Kenyans who have joined this program. Virtually almost all hustlers. We are targeted 22,000 in our projection. But as we speak today, we have about 21 million Kenyans. Our savings component, this product comes with our key focus is to give access to credit, affordable credit, and also begin to move these Kenyans from social protection to social security. We can achieve this by enabling these hustlers, by giving them money. They generate income, they make money, they make profit, and out of that profit, we use that profit to save for them. So every disbursement that we do, we take out 5% and we put it into savings. Savings is divided into 2. We have long-term saving, which is 70%, and you can access it at 60 years.
Actually, that's a question that everybody has been asking. What exactly is that 5% for? Because people have been wondering, why are we not able to access that, and what exactly is the importance of that? So I'm glad that you're talking about that. So
the 5% is we actually creating a pension for this hustler. As we speak today, all hustlers do not have a retirement package.
Absolutely.
Majority of them are now beneficiaries of government initiative of social protection. But with these savings, Kenyans will be able to earn and save their own pension. So currently we are doing what we call credit-led savings. So we give credit and we save for them But going forward, we will be changing that to savings-led credit, meaning we will have built in enough savings to enable these hustlers to borrow. Now, there are 7.5 million Kenyans who come every day at 4 a.m. They borrow money, and by 9 p.m. in the evening, they repay. These are the true hustlers. And these are the hustlers we can offer to the market. We also introduce a fundamental change in how we give credits in Kenya. This is by credit score.
Yes.
So through your character, through your payment and borrowing and repayment, we are able to assess and score every borrower, and from that scoring, we can assign you a limit. That is what we're doing in disbursement of Hustler. Now, on the 1st of June in Embu, during the Madaraka Day, we did launch the second group product. As we speak today, 441,778 groups have been created. And the membership pending approval among them is 506,699. And the approved members in those groups are 1,042,664. So far, we have already disbursed 143,162,250 to the groups that have borrowed. Those who have borrowed are 12,000 groups. The total repayment is 12 million.
Right.
And this loan for groups has a longer tenor and a bigger ticket.
Okay.
So basically, that is the journey we've traveled. We've seen a lot of impact from these small loans, tickets of 500, building up. The highest now borrower is receiving 35,000.
Okay.
And our target on the personal loan product is to give 50,000, and for groups will be ranging between 20,000 and 2 million shillings. So that is basically the journey we've traveled. Kenyans are now beginning to learn and understand financial literacy. We have thought that we have been able to teach them about digital utilization of our digital gadgets.
Right.
Although we don't discriminate between the feature phones and smartphones.
Okay.
All phones can access this fund without necessarily being smart. We are looking forward to partnering with the Ministry of Health to introduce, to support them under universal health care.
Right.
We believe when all these Kenyans are empowered, they're able to invest in their business, they're able to go about their business at affordable rate, they can save more money. And the Hustler Fund can be able to deduct about we are still working on the numbers, between 37 and 70 shillings. That will be sent directly to National Hospital Insurance Fund as a medical insurance and medical bills. We're also working on low-cost housing. Once these Kenyans are empowered and they're able to make money, they can save enough to pay for their low-cost, affordable housing, then we can partner with the Ministry of Housing to afford the hustlers decent homes. So we also have packages coming in, the best packages like education.
Okay.
So going into the future, I look forward to seeing hustlers living a same or equal life. I mean, equity and living a decent life like any other Kenyan. So this empowerment, this facilitation will bring forth many Kenyans into mainstream economic activity.
Right.
These Kenyans can afford taxes, they will afford medical services, they can take their children to better schools like any other person, and they can live a decent life like all Kenyans. That is the dream that Kenya Kwanza have for Kenyans under bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Quite some impressive figures there that you've brought about, and it's nice to see that there has been a substantial growth. But one thing that most Kenyans have been relying on in the past is chamas. That has been our way of life, and that's something that has been inculcated throughout the years and generations. What would you say? Do you think that this particular Hustler Fund is kind of rivaling, the old school ways of chamas? And do you think it's a rival? What would you say about that?
Yeah, I like the word rival because we are changing the way we think and we are disrupting.
Right.
This is a disruptive arrangement, not really to destroy, but to come up with a better way of dealing. Now look, in less than 1 year, 21 million Kenyans can access, and these are real Kenyans because the unique identifier is the ID. Now before, many Kenyans could not manage or access this kind of facility because of the bureaucracy, of the brick and mortar requirement to visit a bank, to meet a customer care officer. Now, in this arrangement of the Hustler Fund, you do not need any engagement with a human.
Okay.
You can manage, process, and apply and receive your loans and repay your loans at the comfort of your, wherever you are, using your phone. So, we are not displacing anybody. It is the future.
Okay.
And considering that we have a big telephone and digital penetration in Kenya, we are now beginning to take advantage of these investments we've done as a country. So I really thank, and I'm very happy with my colleague Eliud Owalo, the CS ICT and Innovation, for pushing this digital penetration in the country so that we can ride on that infrastructural development to push other benefits to Kenyans. All Kenyans, if they could be able to access affordable credit and be able to aggregate their markets, and something that I'm going to discuss, that is the cooperative model, being able, by empowering those small-scale businesses and grouping them into cooperatives, we can aggregate their products and deliver them into the market as one.
Okay.
So all these have symbiotic relationship. And for sure, we look forward that I have seen already many banks advertising along the highways, loans lower than 10%.
Yes.
Up to 10 million without security. This is great news. For us, is an intervention. We are not displacing anybody, but we are pushing and trying to intervene and correct a market that had really run away from many Kenyans.
Now, a majority of, micro, small and medium enterprises operating the Kenyan market usually borrow cash that is, from the Hustler Fund, and they do this for consumption in their households. Okay, this is something that we have seen throughout this past 8 months, and this is something that we've actually got information from the FinAccess Micro and Small Enterprises Tracker Survey that was published by the CBK, which reveals that 68.6% of owners who tapped into the kitty during this 8-month period, that is to June this year, actually used this money for, household purposes, while only 18.1% actually use this resource into business use. Now, Bwana CS, this is one of the drawbacks that I'm sure the ministry has been facing, because the truth is, as much as you've mentioned these impressive numbers and the growth, there's also been some drawbacks, some challenges. So apart from this, what the challenges have there been, and how exactly is your ministry going to try and deal with people who are borrowing not for business use but for consumption in the household?
Thank you very much. If you remember, around October last year, over 10 million Kenyans were listed by our credit reference bureaus.
Right.
Because of the borrowing, they were also borrowing under digital, they were using digital networks to borrow money, just like the Hustler Fund. Now, over that period, almost 7 million Kenyans have been rehabilitated and brought back again to financial system.
Okay.
That is that's a positive intervention. However, we've also faced some challenges, as you rightly said. One of them, of course, as you put it, is borrowing for household or domestic consumption. Remember, we divided our products into 4.
Yes.
Number 1 was household or personal loan product, which is basically to take care of your personal needs.
Of course.
So it's really not we never intended to ask or demand of these borrowers or define the usage of this money in the first loan product. Basically, that first loan product was to really build a database of the hustlers. So we've known who is where, what do they do, what is their character, borrowing character, how do they repay, are they honest people, are they people of integrity. However, the group loan is now majorly a business loan. So we are putting together 10 members of the hustlers and giving them loans. And they will, in that form, which is digital form and digital certificate, they have to indicate the kind of business. Are you in agriculture? Are you in manufacturing? Are you in service? Are you in maybe wholesaling and trade and retail business?
Right.
So all that will be able to indicate to us what kind of business these Kenyans are borrowing money for. So the next product will be the MSME loan.
Okay.
That is a higher ticket amount of money and more specific investment, and as a higher ticket. So we are graduating from the bottom, building up, and the final product will be the startups. We want to participate in acceleration, incubation, and establishment of businesses, and finally incorporating them as medium-sized business, meaning we can even we can do matchmaking, and we can also crowd pool investors into look for angel investors, crowding investments into this sector. So that is the journey. Right now we are at the second stage of our plan.
Right.
And we believe we are on course. A number of teething issues on the group loans, because formation of groups is not easy. We have almost 10 steps to follow, and all members must agree to borrow. All members must agree to form a group, and sometimes you find one member is slow and therefore a delay in approval of the loans. So that is why the group loan product is not moving fast like the individual. But we are working hard to ensure we sensitize Kenyans. We are able to educate Kenyans on the processes, and you've been seeing billboards around, you've been hearing on our radios. We've been trying to reach out and sensitize Kenyans on exactly how you can form a group, how you can borrow money, how you can pay. On 30th of November this year, the first borrower will be expecting 30% of his savings.
Okay.
We are putting in place systems to ensure that case is smooth, because we deduct their savings digitally, and we expect them also to withdraw their savings digitally. So we are working now on ensuring the system is flawless and that the hustlers are ready. We promise them that 1 year down the line, you can access your 5%.
Okay.
Of course, we'll be asking them also if they have paid their current loan.
That's actually the next question, because in the Africa Climate Summit, His Excellency President William Ruto actually mentioned that the bad loans in the Hustler Fund is negligible in comparison to the amount that has been borrowed and returned. Now, how exactly is the government planning to ensure that there's a reduction of these bad loans, and of course the levels are actually brought down?
One, if you listen to my opening statements, where I said we have disbursed 36 billion and we have received 25 billion. That basically takes us to about 72%.
Yes.
The other 28%, we also have 1.8 billion in savings.
Okay.
So that pushes us to almost almost 77%.
Right.
So we are 23% down. Now, if we break down that 23% into periods, you realize only less than 4 billion is outside the credit period. So I am not worried, because what we are doing is we are also changing our recovery measures.
Okay.
We are shifting approaches to recovery measures. You remember those days that some other digital lenders would come to your house, they will write you messages, they will write to your mother, they will write to your brother, they will write to your sister, your husband, your wife. Everybody knows you have defaulted 3,000. We will not do those things ourselves, but we want to encourage good character,
good policy,
good behavior, and also we reward good manners. We give you a higher ticket. Yes. We give you many products, so that the good character defines you, encourages you, and defines the way the Hustler Fund is going to be managed and administered.
Okay. Now, let's now shift gears to microfinances. And MFIs have struggled in the past to attract clientele due to the high interest rates and obviously competition from mainstream banks and cheaper digital loans. What is the government doing to kind of repackage the MFIs to actually respond to the current market needs?
One, I think MFIs should be innovative. First, the cost of doing business. Digital technology, ICT, has proven, especially on the Hustler Fund.
Right.
Do you know we don't have any office? Do you know we only have 5 officers in the Hustler Fund? Do you know we have made zero investment in terms of infrastructure on Hustler Fund? Because we partnered with service providers, we partnered with banks, the core banking, the systems, we've partnered with digital. We have 2 banks. We have Family Bank of Kenya, and we have Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB. And we have the three mobile network operators, Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom. All this, we have partnered and agreed on a package.
Okay.
So we share whatever interest we charge. Actually, we charge 8%. That 8% is shared 50-50 between the fund and the mobile and the service providers, the banks and the mobile network companies. And the 4% that goes to the fund is also divided into 2. 2% will go to the growth of the fund, and 2% will be used for administration of the fund.
Okay.
So that is how so the microfinance institutions should utilize technology. We are now doing very well in Africa and in the world,
yes,
as far as digital internet network penetration is concerned. So that will bring down the cost of services and indirectly allow them to get or afford or do business cheaply. We can also partner many funds in government. We can partner with the MFIs using the Hustler Fund platform. We can enhance and increase beneficiaries. The 7.5 million repeat customers daily are good candidates for MFI. So when we are giving them maximum of 50,000, they can actually match, they can actually double that amount and ensure that more and enable more Kenyans to access. So if they came to us today, the MFI, we have 7.5 million Kenyans we can discuss, we can do business, and we can use the same digital platform to borrow and recover and repay. Yes.
And the one thing that I feel like a lot of people have been wondering, and this question is something that has been passed around, and of course this is because MSMEs are currently the backbone of Kenya's economy. Over 70% of these, they actually don't make it to their 3rd birthdays. And what exactly is the government doing to ensure that the business environment does not choke MSMEs and actually supports them to scale?
Number one, we have had a problem in payments. Many MSMEs have done business, jobs, supplies, contractual businesses to institutions of government and private sector. But as long as we don't streamline the credit period policy in Kenya,
yes,
majority of our MSMEs will continue to suffer.
Okay.
So that is one. So we must first sensitize the national government. We have to limit the period within which we pay the SMEs. the county governments, and also the private sector. I am sure if we, both at national and county government, fix the payment period of these hustlers or this MSME, the private sector will follow suit. So we can catalyze and create a character of dealing with MSMEs in Kenya. So that is one.
Right.
The second issue is training and capacity building. Majority of our MSMEs have low capacity in managing their balancing their credit period and also their whatever the credit period they offer.
Yes.
Doesn't match the credit period of their supplies. So they are expected all the time to raise cash ahead of repayment, receiving payment. So that has always occasioned a cash flow challenge. So we need to build capacities so that they can match or receive payments earlier before settling their debts.
Okay.
Thirdly is affordable credit. We need to agree with our 46 banks and MFIs and all other digital and all other lenders in Kenya on we have to come up with an affirmative action on MSMEs. The rate of borrowing, the amount of borrowing, and since we have built a database, which has been a challenge with the MFI and banks, we now have credits, we have a record, we have data, and we will be working with the Hustler Fund to establish and develop a data analytics program that should be able to, we can offer this information to any lender, may generate money for the Hustler Fund, but also help in developing the sector, the MSME. So if we did that, we could actually ensure that all our MSMEs can go beyond the third year. Finally, is aggregation of markets.
Yes.
We can do a lot as a Ministry of MSME and cooperatives by aggregating their businesses, putting together, so that those, assuming, for example, those involved in groceries, they can aggregate, they can use one lorry, they can transport their wares in one truck, and using economies of scale, we can bring down the cost. And also, they can also, by aggregating them, they can now attract better markets, affordable markets. Through MSEA, we have built cold storage in Olkalau, Timau, and Kisii, for bananas in Kisii, for potatoes in Olkalau, and even for flowers in Timau. The whole objective of this is, and we have lined up others, we have lined up other cold storage. The whole objective of doing this is to aggregate farmers' produce so that those who are engaged in buying and selling chips,
yes,
the KFCs, the Nando's, and all the fish chips shops, and those who are selling chips can actually go to Olkalau, buy the potatoes, do value addition, either they are making crisps, they are making chips, or even the flour. They can go there, they now invest in value addition. This will give these farmers better pay, more money, more income, and more wealth. So we contribute. The other thing is the KIPE. We are, through the Ministry of Industry Trade,
yes,
we are building a county industrial program across the 47 counties. And I've seen adverts going out, and tenders have been, where the national government is contributing 250 million, and the county government is contributing 250 million.
Okay.
As we speak today, I've seen the president has been going round,
yes,
and the Minister for Trade have been going round to launch these programs. All these programs are intended to aggregate the SMEs of Kenya within those regions. And these are pioneer industrial activities in some of our counties. So when that happens, then the consumers, takers of this county integrated industrial programs, we'll be able to move away from Nairobi to now the counties. And so if you went to Kisii, if you are doing bananas, you'll find them there. If you're going to counties and the ASAL counties, they are more in beef, hides and skin, and pastoralism. And through the Department of Cooperatives, we are working on a value chain that will empower the pastoralists, that is the beef and leather. We are building feedlots. We are still designing the product, working with the World Bank, and once that product is concluded, we'll do some 5 pilots to see how cooperative movement can manage a feedlot and pushing our country to a beef exporter and also supporting our leather value chain.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bwana Chelegui, for the insight. Quite a lot that you've mentioned, and of course details regarding the products that you are going to be launching. And as we wrap up this particular interview, maybe you could just sum up your year in office under the current regime.
Okay, I've talked about the Hustler Fund, which I believe is now the highlight of our 1 year in office, and I think this administration also. But also on the cooperative department, we've really been on the high gear in pushing the dairy sector. The Kenya Kwanza, in its plan, targets to improve production from 5.2 billion liters per year to 10.2 billion liters per year. And for that to happen, we need to modernize, improve our equipment. Government has allocated already 3.8 billion shillings. We have finished Nyambene milk processing factory. We have finished and launched Kiganjo. We have finished Kinyaururu and ready for launch. And Dandora is ready also. And we are working on phase 2. That will bring Bogotio. That will bring Kabianga. That will bring in Narok.
Okay.
We have hawking of milk in 2 counties, Nakuru and Narok. And once we put up these plans, we will be able to manage and formally bring all our milk products into the processors. So on the dairy sector, we are left with now increasing production. The second thing is we have value chains that have not been organized, although it's a high cash generating value chain. The avocados, macadamia, cashew nuts, and pyrethrum. The cooperative model that brought in and positioned Kenya on top of the world map in coffee and tea needs to apply now in those value chains.
Right.
Finally is the cooperatives, the SACCOs. We are number 7 in the world and number 1 in Africa as far as cooperative SACCOs are concerned. Our cooperative SACCOs have saved assets of 1.5 trillion. They have savings of 1 trillion, and they have a loan book of 980 billion with a membership of 14 million people. We are going to host this year the top CEOs of the world on credit unions, which it's another name used elsewhere in America, Europe, and Canada. They are called credit unions. They will be here in Kenya in November because of our role in the world stage as far as cooperative SACCOs are concerned.
Right.
We will also be hosting the Africa SACCO Association, which will be held in Nairobi next year. That tells you the whole world is now coming to Nairobi, coming to Kenya.
Absolutely. In fact, the Hustler Fund has actually got a lot of eyes, and people from different parts of the world are actually interested if they will also be able to borrow one day.
Yes.
That's something that we can discuss the next time.
We are happy to share information.
100%.
So basically, as far as that is the journey we've traveled the whole year.
Yes.
And we have other legal, regulatory reforms. We've held the coffee conference. We want to move our coffee production from 50,000 to 200,000 metric tons in 2027. We held a coffee conference in Meru, and we are now busy putting together legal, regulatory, and and other operational reforms in the sector. We want to bring back the Coffee Board of Kenya.
Yes.
We have also opened up Nairobi Coffee Exchange to digitalize the exchange. So on the dairy sector, we are having a conference in Nakuru, and we have already done the tea in Kericho. So going forward, we want to revamp and bring back the life we had when all these cooperatives were working. As a ministry, we will ensure that all Kenyans who save through cooperative circles, their money is as safe as the shilling in the bank. So that is the assurance I want to give, and I want, when you go to circles, you go there as a member, not as a customer.
Right.
So there is a different treatment, and you manage. There is a free entry, free exit. There is democratic leadership of cooperatives where every member participates. You have equal share, whether you have 1 million and I have 1 share, you have equal powers. So through that model, you now ensure that the cooperative that you are in is managed well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Bwana Chelugui. It has been quite an in-depth conversation about, of course, the Hustler Fund, which was our main area of conversation, and of course your plans and the new products, the second phase as well, that has been most talked about, and some of the milestones as well that you have brought to our attention. So thank you so much for summing up your 1 year in office, and of course giving us some key highlights of what exactly your ministry and of course the docket has done when it comes to the Hustler Fund and more. Asante sana. We'll definitely be maybe continuing this conversation at a later time, but once again, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure hosting you here. And of course, that's it from this side of the studio, the conversation that I was having with Bwana CS, that is Simon Chelugui of Cooperatives and MSMEs. We'll be doing this another time. Remember, we continue to visit the different ministries and have conversations every single day. We'll continue this conversation on Sunday as well with another of our anchor and of course another CS from another ministry. But for now, it's time to switch gears, and we'll be having another conversation with a Chipukizi later on. But for now, let's quickly take a quick commercial break.
Officially, Nduthi iko ndani ya one of the boxes ya Lucky Game. Cheza Lucky Game. Kumbuka ni *570#. Chagua Lucky Game. Kisha chagua one of the boxes kati ya hizo 7. Weka stakes zako, isiwe chini ya 20 shillings na isizidi 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Zawadi ziko kem. Kiwapo pia Nduthi tumeingiza mahali pale. Vurumisha na *570#.
Estaré contigo cuando tú lo quieras.
Where is she going? To see her husband.
A while ago, I saw you with Danielle
And you know what, Aunt? Today I admit that you may be quite right.
You know, you don't need to lie to me.
Now I want you to leave. Get out of here. Go! Get out!
What is going on between the two of you?
Isabel, you've arrived just in time to save me.
No. Don't listen to her. She's a liar. Please, I'm begging you, Isabel.
He's saying that I'm a liar because he doesn't want you to know the truth, but then he...
Will you please shut up?
You see how he treats me.
Quiero que no pase tanto y tanto tiempo.
Alafu kisha wewe wafikira mimi nitakuogopa? Mara mtoto wa Zito, mke wake Zito. What nonsense. Sasa sikia nikwambie. Listen to me and listen to me good. You either get out from here or I do something that you will regret for the rest of your life. Got that? Now leave.
Mimi sikubali. Siwezi ondoka paka matumizi ya mtoto wangu.
Wewe nenda. Toka nje.
Siwezi ondoka.
Alafu sasa sikiza nikwambie. Wewe ni clients kama clients wengine, umenisikia?
Wasemaje?
Maini.
Wasemaje?
Maini. Jaribu kunigusa uone.
Sikiza Jamal. Shamsa is my wife. Achana naye. Sawa. Achana na Shamsa.
All right, just a few more stories, remember, that are crucial in today's, of course, live broadcast. Moving on to this particular one, that is the Kenya Defence Forces nationwide recruitment exercise, which has come to a close. The Vice Chief of Defence Forces, Lieutenant John Mwangi, said the exercise that kicked off on the 28th of August was conducted in 374 recruitment centres across the country. Lieutenant Mwangi lauded all those who participated in the exercise, saying successful candidates in the specialist officer, cadets, artisans or tradesmen and women will be notified through the official Ministry of Defence website or through the mainstream media between 17th and 24th of September 2023. Those eligible for the ex-National Youth Service category will be interviewed on the 18th of September 2023 at the Embakasi Garrison in Nairobi, while all potential candidates for the Defence Forces Constables category will report to Kahawa Garrison for interviews on the 27th of November 2023. Moving on, 8 out of 10 Kenyans are using carbon-emitting transport systems, complicating Kenya's plan to decarbonize its transport systems. The situation is worse in urban centres where the majority of people use personal vehicles. Now, the Kenya Green Building Society Chair, Azmina Banji, says Kenya cannot afford to ignore built-up environments in its efforts to deal with the high carbon footprint in its transport system, adding that there is a need to create more awareness of the dangers of high carbon footprints.
Kenya emits about 70 million tons of CO2 per year. This is according to Climate Watch, a platform managed by the World Resources Institute that tracks national greenhouse gas emissions. This bearing in mind that Africa produces 11% of the world's offsets. Climate experts argue that resilience should begin through Kenya's urban centers.
It is important to focus on several key areas, which includes promoting renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency in buildings and transportation, implementing sustainable urban planning and design, and fostering public awareness and participation.
I think we all know the building sector and operations actually account for almost like 40% of the total emission in the energy space. Now, of course, you know for sure with the increasing population, number one, and number two, of course, the expected growth of urban centers, this is definitely going to increase the demand for building.
Speaking at an event on Africa's path to low-carbon cities, it emerged that a holistic approach is still needed for better built-up urban centers and cities if Kenya is to win the war against a heavily polluted environment.
As a ministry, we are very concerned about it, and that's the reason why we have entered into various partnerships, especially with the KGBSC, UNEP, CCC, CSE for all, to get together and understand our baselines, our information, where we are in energy efficiency and where we want to go.
The Kenya Green Building Society Chair, Azmina Banji, says there is need for improvement on the codes with respect to green and climate-resilient construction and infrastructure.
Really, we cannot afford to ignore the built environment and the surrounding ecosystem. I mean, the built environment contributes almost 40% globally to greenhouse gas emissions, right? Not to mention its enormous contribution to energy consumption as well as waste production.
Alanauko, Easy Friday.
Now, the government has started a plan to reform the ICT sector through policy and legal reviews. Information, Communications and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo says there is the need to align the industry with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies. Owalo spoke during the inauguration of a team of technocrats to lead the reforms in the sector. Trevor Ngendo with the details.
Despite significant advancements in the internet and technology over the last 3 decades, key legal frameworks such as the Kenya Broadcasting Act, Kenya Information and Communication Act, and Postal Corporation of Kenya Act are considered outdated and unable to keep tabs on emerging trends.
We are actually 25 years down the line, and we are still operating on the basis of those legal foundations.
We've got legislation that is telling us that we might need a complete overhaul of the laws that are presiding over this sector. We've got regulations that are not matching up to the times that we are in.
It is therefore significant that these laws be looked at objectively in the face of the prevailing situation at the moment.
Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo says it is necessary to review existing policy frameworks to capture new emerging trends. The ministry has formed a 42-member working task force comprising experts in various domains to review the existing policy, administrative and operational structures and recommend reforms in the sector within the next 6 months.
We expect that at the tail end of this exercise you will submit to us an information, communication and digital economy sectoral review report together with an implementation matrix with clear timelines, clear responsibility centers, clear expected outputs, output indicators and targets, time-bound targets.
The ministry says there is urgent need for integrated approaches to legal and policy reforms to ensure synergy and eliminate multiplication of roles and redundancies. As this team begins its work, all eyes are now on Kenya's ICT sector, as Kenya aims to position itself as a regional leader in the digital economy, as enshrined in Kenya Kwanza's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Trevor Ngendo for Easy Friday.
Now, Head of Public Service Felix Koskei has affirmed that the Kenya Kwanza government will not relent in the fight against corruption. Koskei says a strong collaboration between the executive and the legislature will go a long way in ensuring Kenya rids itself of the vice. He made the remarks during a consultative meeting between staff of the Executive Office and 6 parliamentary audit committees in Mombasa.
Money has been spent, there is nothing on the ground. Money has been spent, the infrastructure is not functional. Money has been spent, and you get inadequate social security system. We have to act. And it will not be possible for one arm of government to do it. All of us have to come together. Starting with executive and parliament. If we work together, you taking the role of oversight, giving pressure for implementation on behalf of the people, the executive will not have any option but to implement. So you have to help the executive so that we move in the right direction. We are pleading with you as executive. The president has laid it bare. The president has said he's not tolerating any vice, any inefficiency. The president has clearly stated that there is no option for those who are misusing, squandering people's resources have to pay for it in any way that they can choose to take.
And yes, indeed, a very good evening. Welcome to Easy Friday Sports. I'm Bernard Okumu, and we begin with the rally of Greece, where a water pump issue has dented Oitanak's hopes of scoring an Acropolis rally podium after picking up a time penalty on Friday afternoon at the Rough Gravel World Rally Championship event in Greece. Now, the M-Sport driver ended Friday morning's two-stage loop in fourth, 8.3 seconds adrift of leader Hyundai's Terry Norville before drama struck in the tire fittings on Tanak's Ford Puma developed a water pump issue that triggered frantic work on the car, with Tanak and co-driver Martin Vioya assisting mechanics in finding a fixer for the problem. The issue was resolved, but at a cost, as Tanak left the tire fittings on 22 minutes late, incurring a 3 minute and 40 seconds penalty in the process. And to local news now, where world champion Mary Moraa has withdrawn from the Brussels leg of the Diamond League series ongoing in Belgium. Moraa was one of the two Kenyan athletes that won a gold medal in the World Athletics Championships that were held in Hungary last month after she won the 800 meters title in 1 minute 56.03 seconds. Now, the 23-year-old has registered good performances this season, having won the Rabat, Lausanne and Siblesia Diamond League meetings. This was the first time Moraa was to participate in the 400 meters at the Diamond League meetings.
And they've slotted in behind the defending champion.
By, I think, Mo last year, but Moraa is full of confidence with that 400-meter PB this year.
In Eugene, last time round, Kibi Hodgkinson looking for space.
Elsewhere, Ambira Mobimba from Siaya and Small Simba from Kisii are the two football teams to watch during this weekend's Chapadimba soccer tournament, which heads to Siaya and Kisii counties for the Nyanza County finals. Now, a total of 530 teams, including 412 boys teams and 118 girls teams, featured in the Nyanza region grassroots games played from the ward level.
Tomorrow, Siaya County will set the stage for an electrifying opening match between Jera girls from Ugenya and VSA girls from Game that will take place at Siaya KMTC grounds. The boys will battle it out in the afternoon with Ambira Mobimba Secondary School from Ugunja taking on St. Peter's Wangai Mixed Secondary School from Game. On Sunday, Kisii Queens will face off against Kenyanya Moteiribe FC, while Small Simba will go head-to-head with their rivals Ichunyi FC at Sameta grounds. The winning team in both boys and girls category will each take home 75,000 Kenyan shillings, while the runners-up will each take home 30,000 Kenyan shillings. Meanwhile, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisumu and Nyamira County finals are said to be played in the coming weekends before accumulating into the inter-county playoffs. The inter-county winners will then proceed to the regional finals set for 30th of September and 1st of October this year. A total of 530 teams, including 412 boys teams and 180 girls teams, featured in the Nyanza region grassroots games played in the ward level.
Well, an American teenager, Coco Gauff, reached her first US Open singles final after beating Karolina Muchova in 2 straight sets. She wrapped up a 6-4, 7-5 win over Muchova and will face second seed Aryna Sabalenka in Saturday's final.
American teenager Coco Gauff reached her first US Open singles final after defeating Karolina Muchova 6-4, 7-5. The match awarded 11 victories in a row, the best streak of her career, and won 17 of her past 18 matches. Meanwhile, Well, the drama was confined to the tennis court in the second semi-final when Australian Open champion Sabalenka dug deep to beat Madison Keys, love 6, 7-6, 7-6, and prevent an All-American showpiece in New York.
Her first U.S. Open final.
And that does it for sports tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Shiksha Arora will be speaking to Chipukizi about his debut show that will be debuting next Monday here on KBC Channel 1. I'm Bernard Okumu. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for that, Bernard. Of course, this brings us to the end of the first section of Easy Friday and tonight's Prime Edition, of course, where we spoke to CS Simon Cherugui. Now, we're going to be shifting gears to entertainment, and we'll be speaking to the one and only Chipukizi on his debut show that's going to be on Monday, where he's going to be telling us all about, what we can expect from his show. Well, the last time that he had his show was quite some time back. Now he's back with a bang on KBC, so we'll be finding out more from him. On the other side of the studio, that's it from the news department. And remember, the sign language interpreter has been Brian. We've also got Cole Jacks with the music, as always, so don't go anywhere. We've got a lot in store for you. Chipukizi coming right up.
Inakanga the only alternative ni crime, or peddling drugs, ama kuingia squadi, ama kutafuta kasi matatu, kutafuta motorbike. That looks like that's the future.
Looking at our family background, the pattern that was set initially, like you get to high school, after high school, that's it. You don't proceed